This is NR2003 Predicts. Using constantly updating ratings, we determine where Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers will place at any given track any given week. Standard disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only, using the process of automated intelligence, and should not be used in the process of gambling. So here's how it works. We update drivers' ratings week by week as we go throughout the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule. We run a 100% simulation with normal tire wear and fuel consumption. Qualifying results match what the drivers actually ran in real life. Because qualifying data can't be arranged at the same time as forcing cautions, stages will not be enforced throughout these races. And weather used reflects the real-time data based on the actual start time of the race. It's an unseasonably chilly night here in Kansas, and an SHR front row green flag flies. Who's going to take the victory here at Kansas? Kevin Harvick gets the better jump on the inside line, and we could see drivers running all three lanes on this racetrack tonight, using the low line, the middle line, or the high line, or maybe a combination of all three, depending on where their car handles best. And actually, that we're going to see right there, Aric Almirola taking the middle line and getting the better momentum off the 4 car, and he's going to lead lap number 1. A little bit of an incident coming off turn 4 in this first lap. Kurt Busch getting a little bit into the wall, and he's going to see a lot of cars going right by him. Ryan Blaney goes all the way to the apron, and then Busch is going to hit the outside wall once again going into turn number 1. A huge lost position for the 1 car. One of the better qualifying stories for this race, Bubba Wallace, he had a great run. He even beat out Kyle Busch on his 1 lap speed. It's exactly what that team needs, just a bunch of bad luck and terrible finishes this season. And he's still competing up there. That speed doesn't look like it's gone away, especially since it's been an impound race. Looks like exactly the way they set the car up is working well. Meanwhile, it's a battle between teammates. Kevin Harvick, Aric Almirola, side by side. The 4 car going to the inside and being followed by Daniel Suarez. Harvick, the winner of this race 1 year ago, and also ties Jimmie Johnson as active drivers with the most wins at 3. But look out, here comes Chase Elliott. He won the most recent race at this racetrack, the playoff race in October. And he is going to charge to the inside of the SHR cars, following Aric Almirola, who takes the lead and going to see if he can make a pass for himself. Hendrick's kind of been all over the place as of late, and obviously they got the first win for Chevy this season with Elliott at Talladega, but at the same time, you got Jimmie Johnson way back here. He's behind Kurt Busch, who obviously hit the outside wall on lap number 1, and still trying to find his way to the front. You can see all the cars that are in front of him. Kyle Busch didn't have the greatest of qualifying runs, but you can see he's working his way up toward the front as normal. He's in the 7th position right now, trying to track down William Byron. And for Busch, this would be his 2nd win at this racetrack if he were to get it tonight. He only has 1 win here, and that came in 2016. Alex Bowman's working off some momentum. He has back-to-back runner-up finishes at Talladega and Dover. Right now, he's really trying to work his way further up the field. You can see he's behind the 32 car right now. Not exactly where he needs to be. He's kind of in the same boat as Jimmie Johnson is. And in fact, Jimmie is in front of him. So currently the worst performing Hendrick car at the moment, despite the momentum he's running from those past 2 races. Our on-board Martin Truex Jr., who swept the Kansas races in 2017 and is also the most recent winner at Dover. Now he's going to work his way to the inside of the 10 car and going to try to track down the 9 of Chase Elliott. Austin Dillon kind of in this pack that we've been going back and forth with. And he got a 10-point penalty at Talladega because of a deck lid issue. And if he didn't have that penalty, he'd be inside the playoff cutoff. But at the moment, because of that penalty, he is not. And he needs some better runs if he wants to get back into that top 16. A great run going for Daniel Hemrick, and we say great being relative. He's still outside the top 10, but considering the finishes he's had this season as a rookie, this is exactly the kind of run he wants to have, running alongside Paul Menard, Ryan Blaney, and Daniel Suarez, as well as Clint Bowyer. That's really going to be a confidence boost based on where they've been this season. It'll take the leader, Elliott, 30 laps to catch up to the first car to go a lap down. That would be Reed Sorensen, but he's getting held up a little bit. And now to the inside line, here comes Martin Truex Jr., as well as a long line of cars that are going to take advantage of Elliott hitting the 27 at the wrong time. So Truex Jr., Almirola, and Kevin Harvick looking to make a move, didn't make it. Getting pretty lucky right there. We've got all 4 of the Penske related cars running back-to-back to each other. Blaney and Menard further back in the field, but Keselowski and Logano a little bit further up, but they're not having a great run compared to what they could be, even though they're running in the 8th and 9th spots now. Meanwhile, for Roush Fenway Racing, they are having a terrible run right now. They qualified both cars in the 20s, and that's where they're still running. They have not made any gains so far, and, well, Newman has made a little bit of a gain, while Stenhouse has been dropping back a little bit. A short pit strategy for Alex Bowman, who comes down a little early. We expect the cars to take about 60 laps, 55 to 60, to come down. However, this is unscheduled. A mechanical problem for Clint Bowyer, the hometown hero here in Kansas, and that is going to cost him a few laps, as that is a huge bad break for Clint Bowyer. Back at the lead pack, Harvick now in the lead, and Truex Jr. trying to stalk him down. Truex had some solid races in 2018 to back up his 2017 streak, a 2nd place and a 5th place, both top 5s, but clearly he wants to be back in victory lane, and clearly also riding that momentum from his recent wins at Richmond and Dover. William Byron still in the top 10, working with Brad Keselowski to try to get around some lapped cars. You got Cody Ware, Bailey Curry, and Timmy Hill all kind of holding them up, while Logano, teammate of Keselowski, trying to battle Denny Hamlin. A good run for the 24 car driver, who's looking to keep some top 10s going on the board. Kurt Busch is trying to make a move underneath younger brother Kyle. Busch has been carrying the flag for Chip Ganassi Racing this season, and he is doing really well considering the 1 car was not even close to the playoff cut line at this race 1 year ago. We're going to see the scheduled green flag pit stops start to take place. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, and Martin Truex Jr. the first takers. And we had a little bit of an incident here. This is Bubba Wallace and Michael McDowell making contact. Looks like the 43 was trying to come down. Michael McDowell was not ready to do so. He was just taking the low line. And a little bit of damage in the door for the 43. So that great qualifying run going to be marred by a little damage. After we cycle through the pit stops, it's going to be Kyle Busch out in front just by a small margin of about a second. Chase Elliott and Martin Truex Jr. still behind and going to have some decent drafting help with each other. And if you're wondering how the short pit strategy worked for Alex Bowman, it actually did work out pretty well. He moved up quite a few positions, now we're running in front of Paul Menard and Kyle Larson. So a solid strategy by Greg Ives, the crew chief for that 88 car. But we had a problem with Eric Jones. He blows up coming out of turn number 4, but that's not where it's going to end. Through the trial, well, Bailey Curry makes a last-minute decision to change lanes, and he runs straight into the back of the 20. Landon Castle also going to be involved. And definitely not a case of Eric Jones doing anything wrong. He was trying to get to the bottom of the track, but you can see the smoke already coming through the tri-oval, and Curry makes a last-minute decision to change lanes, and that's the wrong decision as he runs back into the back of the 20, and the 0-0 is going to be taken out as well. All 3 of those race cars involved in the crash going to be out in this one. Also, problems on pit lane during caution pit stops. Matt Benedetto trying to enter, comes in at the same time as Ryan Preece trying to leave. That's going to hold up Benedetto for a lap or 2. Green flag comes out, and Chase Elliott gets out in front on a little bit of pit strategy as Kyle Busch is now in 3rd place. The 9 pulls in front of the inside line and going to get a little bit of a gap between him and 2nd place. We were mentioning Daniel Hemrick earlier, and we honestly thought he might end up fading back eventually, but at the moment, he's still in the top 10. If we disregard his Talladega finish of 5th place, his best finish so far this season on an intermediate track is 18th at ISM, so this could be a run he could really go for. Meanwhile, Alex Bowman, we talked about how the short pit was successful for him. Well, he had that caution come out, and now he's further back in the field. In fact, I believe he's the last car on the lead lap and now being held up by lap traffic as the rest of the pack is pulling away. And the mechanical problem for Clint Bowyer is clearly affecting his race car because he is so far off the pace that you can't even see the pack in our camera shots. That is a very bad break for the 14 car as he tries to find his way into victory lane sometime this season, as all of SHR is trying to do. Kyle Busch is looking to the inside of Chase Elliott, trying to get that lead back. If I recall correctly, I think the 2 cars that were in front of Busch might have taken 2 tires while Busch took 4. And it looks like those tires are showing up right now as the 18 is back to the lead. Here's Eric Almirola, who's never finished in the top 5 here. Best finish of 8th, and clearly has a history with this track if you go back to 2017 and the injury he sustained over in turns 1 and 2. Definitely can't be his favorite place to come back to, but he's trying to put up a good performance and get some points to get into the top 10. Here's Ryan Newman fighting Jimmy Johnson for position. We mentioned that RFR was having some problems today. Well, Ryan Newman is still on the lead lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is not. We saw him on the first car on the inside line with Chase Elliott. So you can tell that there's a little bit of disparity between the cars now as they are working apart from each other. Gotta give a shout out to Ross Chastain. Won the truck race here last night in quite dramatic fashion. His first career Truck Series victory after getting his first Xfinity win last season at Las Vegas. Great run for him and the Nice Motorsports team, and he's having a solid top 25 performance today. Meanwhile, Daniel Hemrick, we were mentioning that he had a top 10 run going for him. Well, he has sadly faded back a little bit, so that high kind of coming down right now. Ryan Blaney is trying to work his way back up the field, and you can see he's not running with the cars that he probably should be running with. Trying to battle Chris Buescher for position, as well as Daniel Suarez and Paul Menard way up there. He's got some lap traffic to deal with. A solid run going, though, for Corey LaJoie. That 32 car, we don't talk about him too much, but he's having a solid run today. He's putting up a top 20 performance. He was able to stay on the lead lap when that caution came out, so that's really what's helping him keep up a solid position and trying to get around some cars. So that's really working out well for the Go Fast Racing team. Kyle Larson and William Byron battling for the 8th position. Larson had a pair of top 5s at this racetrack 1 year ago, but clearly this year he's trying to get back into the swing of things after a much-needed 3rd place finish at Dover last week. Just trying to see if he can keep it clean on the racetrack. We'll see how he's able to achieve that. Joey Logano trying to work his way back up. We saw the Penske cars were kind of running in about the 10th place range, and clearly they think they're going to be a little bit better than that on a night like tonight, so they're going to see if Logano can charge his way to the front as Keselowski and Blaney are really nowhere to be seen. This is the view from Kevin Harvick, and you can see he's put a gap on Kyle Busch and a few cars in between. So very good for the pole sitter, Kevin Harvick, who showed a lot of speed in qualifying, and now he's going to make the first pit stop of this round. Kyle Busch and the rest of the teams are going to go around him as he's kind of the only one out here taking a lap. And problems for Kyle Larson as he was trying to come on his pit stall. Bubba Wallace was leaving. This was kind of the same situation in the first caution between Preece and DiBenedetto, and now Kyle Larson has some damage to repair to his race car. And after the pits are cycled through, it's Kevin Harvick once again back out in front, but this time with a huge gap. He's got 4 seconds, almost 5 on Kyle Busch, who's now pulling away from Eric Almirola as the 10 car getting a little bit of trouble from the lapped car of Reed Sorensen, who's kind of been in the way of a lot of cars today, and still causing some problems as the 10 goes into the corner. Here's a driver in danger of going a lap down. That's Daniel Suarez, Kevin Harvick's teammate. He has put himself into the top 16, which is much needed considering where he's been in the past couple seasons, but this is not a good racetrack for him. He's finished outside the top 23 out of 4 times he's been here in a Cup car, and as you can see, not going to get a lot better for him as he's going to be swept up by the teammate of Harvick. Suarez at least trying to be in the top 20 as he is right now, which would be an improvement for where he's been in the past 3 races here. As Harvick now going to try to track down the next car. And we mentioned how Roush Fenway Racing's kind of pulled apart from each other. Well, Ryan Newman's up in the top 10, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr., he's down in about 30th place. He had some problems on pit road, and that has cost him even more time, as clearly the speed is not found on the 17 while it is on the 6. Meanwhile, for Austin Dillon, we mentioned that he had to get some points made up, and he has put himself back in the top 10. That is going to be huge in terms of him getting back into playoff contention. So he's trying to follow Kurt Busch on the inside lane and Ryan Newman on the outside lane battling with him. Joey Logano is making up some ground in front of all 3 of those guys. He's come up to 6th place, and suddenly it looks like after a few pit stops, the 22 team has made some adjustments that have helped him find some speed in the race car, and he's trying to track down the next guy up. And that would be Martin Truex Jr., who's about 3 seconds ahead of him. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott battling Kyle Busch for second position. He's going to look to the inside. And the winner of this race in the fall last season, trying to see if he can make his ground up to get to Kevin Harvick. But unfortunately, that ground is being extended as Harvick is now 6 seconds ahead of the second place car. So that is going to be a tough grab for him. Jimmie Johnson trying to work his way back up into the top 10. We're looking on the back of Paul Menard, who's in 10th place. Johnson just trying to see if he can get up there, as he's been working really hard to turn his season around, and he really needs to turn his track performance around here in the recent go, and he only has one top 20, and that was barely cracking the surface. Martin Truex Jr. now trying to catch up to Joey Logano, but I think the bigger story here is that Logano is now in the 4th place, as that 22 car has found an immense amount of speed, as now it's other guys that are trying to catch up to him. Well, he's just tracking guys down and picking them off one by one, and now he's going to have a really good run on the inside line as Truex Jr. is caught in the middle of traffic. We have another pit cycle here, which is a little bit short of the end of the race in terms of pit window, so it means we're probably going to see at least one more pit stop. Problems here in turn 3, contact between Kyle Larson and Ryan Preece. And William Byron is going to get a little bit of contact as well, as I believe the 47 was trying to come down the pit lane, but clearly not going to have that work on the outside line. And once again, the 4 car is pulling away after pit stops. It's either being the first car on the pit lane, having a great pit crew, or both, as he is now 9 seconds ahead of Chase Elliott in 2nd place. How about a great run going for Corey LaJoie? We mentioned him earlier, but he is still up here running within the top 20. He's going to have a solid performance today if he keeps it up as he is. Go Fast Racing really needing a good performance to have under their belt, and they're getting one out of Corey LaJoie today. And now, Joey Logano trying to battle for 2nd place. He's already gotten around Kyle Busch after the pit stops, and now going for the runner-up spot. That is a huge run out of the 22 team, as he's still battling Chase Elliott, but clearly he's in contention. And it's worth noting that it doesn't look like Kevin Harvick is quite the fastest driver on the track right now. Is William Byron. He's behind Kevin Harvick, trying to get his lap back. And he's sucking up to him, trying to see if he can get the draft and make the move underneath. This could be an opportunity for Chase Elliott and Joey Logano and the rest of the crews back here to get into contention once again, as they're going around Brad Keselowski off the lead lap. And you can see the gap has shrunk to about 5 seconds between places 1 and 2. Meanwhile, it's still a battle between Jimmie Johnson and Paul Menard to get to the 10th spot. But Jimmy's got the clean air, or relatively clean at least, as Paul Menard stuck behind lap traffic. Tyler Reddick, Reed Sorensen, and Bubba Wallace on his outside. And clearly that was a bit of a problem, because here comes Kevin Harvick right around him in the 21, and now going to try to track down Jimmie Johnson. But while Kevin Harvick's kind of getting held up in this battle with the cars about to go a lap down, that has given a plenty of opportunity to get those other cars a little bit closer to the 4 car and try to track them down. However, we're going to see our last pit stop of the night. Chase Elliott and Eric Almirola, who's found himself in the 3rd place, are going to try to stay out, and the 10 car is going to stay out the longest, going to try to see if that will work out for him, trying to stay out of traffic. And unfortunately, not going to work out quite that well, as Kevin Harvick still has a massive lead over the rest of the field. However, it's not as big as it was on the last pit stop, and he's being held up by a little bit of lap traffic. The gap is closing as Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch work together, trying to push each other to get back up to Harvick. However, the laps are dwindling down, and they might not have the time. And it looks like as Harvick comes off of turn number 4 for the second to last time, however much the gap is closed, which you can see those cars in the background, it is just not enough time to catch up to the 4 car. We've had only one incident caution. That was with Eric Jones blowing his engine on about lap 80. But Harvick has been the class of the field today. Strategy and pit crews have been all the difference to keep the 4 car out in front. And coming off of turn number 4 for the final time now, Kevin Harvick going to take the victory here at Kansas. And he will break the tie with Jimmie Johnson for the most wins among active drivers here at this racetrack. A great run for the 4-car considering SHR, who had all 4 front starting spots kind of broke apart, all finishing in different parts of the running order. Let's take a look at how the field finished today. It was Kevin Harvick up top, Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott get within 2 seconds of Harvick, but not able to pull it off in the end. Joey Logano, a great run at the end to get up to 4th place. Eric Almirola rounds out the top 5. A great comeback also for Ryan Newman, going from the 20s to get into 7th place, and Jimmy Johnson, the last one, within the top 10. Just outside of that, Mark Denny Hamlin and William Byron battled for position, along with Paul Menard, Brad Keselowski, and Ryan Blaney, a couple of Penske drivers right there in the mid-teens. Corey LaJoie, a great top 20 run, as he ends up in 16th place, while Kyle Larson, after his problems on pit lane, ends up crawling back to 20th place 2 laps down. Further down the grid, it's Daniel Hemrick, just outside of a top 20 finish, and Ross Chastain, the truck winner, gets to 22nd place. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was able to pull back a few positions, but ends up in 26th, and Alex Bowman somehow fell all the way back to 25th. And rounding out the 40-car field, drivers that had problems today like Matt Benedetto, Clint Bowyer, Ryan Preece, all finishing way back and several laps down. Tyler Reddick seemed to also have some problems as well in that 3rd RCR car. Eric Jones, Landon Castle, and Bailey Curry all involved in the accident involving Jones's engine letting go. They are the only cars to drop out of the race. And that is it for this edition of NR2003 Predicts. We will see you all next time.